Parker.
You're live. You're live.
We're live?
Mm-hmm.
Live right now?
Mm-hmm.
Did the camera catch me playing with Cammie, the production assistant?
No, not yet.
All right. Well, she's pretty darn cute, little Cammie dog over here. She may or may not bark. We'll just have to see.
Let's see.
But my name is Jonathan Harmon. I am here with Table Talk, where I stole this from you, by the way. Only I modified it a little bit. There's always room at the table. Yeah. So I was like, I can't directly steal it, you know, but there's always room at the table for different opinions, different schools of thought, diversity of thought. That's what we like.
Absolutely.
And real quick, let's get some business done. My friend Bryan Nale over at Iberia Bank Mortgage, a division of First Horizon Bank.
I think it's First Horizon.
He rolled it out today.
Yeah.
He is First Horizon. I saw the picture. My friend Bryan with First Horizon Bank, the best in the business when it comes to mortgage lending, refinances, and all those kinds of fun things. So if you need that, definitely hit him up. We can share his contact information. Bryan is a proud supporter of Spread the Positive and underwrites this podcast. So thank you, Bryan. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all that you have done for many people here in Murfreesboro for a long, long time. That said, speaking of people that do things for people here in Murfreesboro all the time, one of my favorite human beings walking the earth today is Mr. Abdou Kattih. And thank you. I was going to say, come on, man, where you at? You missed the cue. Producer Trent back there working on the sound effects and looking dapper, by the way. Nice suit coat, buddy.
Thank you.
Is there something going on tonight?
Yes.
What's going on tonight?
The 222-22 ultimate call to action at Cedar Glade for Spread the Positive.
Yeah, can you give us a little preview?
Yeah, basically just getting everybody under, or as many people as we can under one roof, just to go over all the stuff that we're doing with Spread the Positive. You're going to be behind the bar.
I am.
Got some delicious Cedar Glade brews. We got some stuff from the alley coming.
Woo!
Chick-fil-A, some other stuff. So it's going to be cool. Just networking, shaking hands, kissing babies, and then.
Do you have to pay at the door?
No, you don't. Just come on down.
What time?
6 to 8 tonight.
Tonight.
Yep, tonight.
On 2/22/22.
That's a Tuesday. Wow. I mean,
Tuesday.
It's a lot. But yeah, it's going to be cool. Got a little presentation. Just going to be doing the lowdown on everything we got going with Spread the Positive. So it's going to be a good time. Y'all come through.
Absolutely. All right. So let's go back to Mr. Abdou Kattih. How's it going, buddy?
It's good. Nice space. That's a big change from table in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, we've moved up just a little bit. We've got some dedicated equipment, dedicated space. And Abdou, you have been on a couple of podcasts with me. Murfreesboro.com was the last one. You also were on Coffee Talk with me twice, actually, I think.
I think this is a third time, maybe, if I remember.
I think that's correct. And I love bringing you in. I love talking to you. I love your perspectives. You've been to my house as well on other times where we've just kind of sat and had conversations. And I think it's important. I think it's always important to invite people that may or may not see things exactly the way you do. And especially if you can agree on a few key topics, all the rest of that stuff, it just creates good conversation.
Absolutely.
You know?
I agree.
And so Abdou, for anybody that hasn't ever met you or hasn't seen you on my podcast before, kind of give me the scoop. Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
Professionally, I'm a pharmacist, sell drugs for a living.
Legally.
My favorite thing being a dad. I do that for a living too.
Yeah.
In other people's living, I work with several nonprofits in town. I work with the Domestic Violence Shelter. I work with the Tennessee Immigrants and Refugee Alliance. I work with the Rutherford County Helpers, and I am the president of the Murfreesboro Muslim Youth.
Mm-hmm.
I like helping people. I love being in the community. I love interacting with people most of the time.
That's a fair statement.
And I think it enriches me in many ways. So in most cases, opposite of what people think, when you do good, you're the beneficiary.
100% believe that.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I got to know you a little bit through your work with MMY, Murfreesboro Muslim Youth, and you guys as an organization, one of the more dynamic organizations I've ever encountered. And one of the, I hate to use this term because it's not fully accurate, but just one of the best organizations in Rutherford County and definitely in Murfreesboro, as far as getting kids involved, getting kids to participate in their community and to serve their community and to just make where they live a better place. And the work that you guys do, I would love for, I know, I feel like I got to pull this out of you, but I want you to brag on your kids a little bit. Don't brag on Abdou because I know you won't do it. But brag on your kids a little bit. Some of the things that that MMY has accomplished just in the last year.
Well, it's there are two ways to measure success. There are numbers, and there are the no numbers.
Sure.
The numbers is what people see in our annual report, in the finances, in the how many meals and how many. We are a youth organization. Feeding the hungry is not our mission per se. Our mission is our kids, and through that, whatever it takes to achieve the result, which is making them proud of who they are as Muslims, as Americans, as minorities, as not minorities, as whatever color, whatever they are, be proud of who they are, be active in the community, and seeing no conflict in that. A lot of small and big stories. Give you an example that just happened actually 2 days ago. There's an annual tournament in Nashville that we participate in, and we take about 40 to 50 of our kids every year, and they have to register, participate, and prepare in different competitions. And they came a mandate from them saying that, you cannot go unless you're fully vaccinated, and we are not accepting waivers. And some of our kids have health conditions that prevents them from getting vaccines, so they have waivers and they were rejected. So our team, we voted to see, should we support our teammates and not go? And all of them said, no, we're not going to go unless everybody goes. And they dropped off 2 months of preparation. They dropped off their fees. They dropped off their work and said, no, we can stand up with our friends.
Yeah, solidarity.
And it's a good sign for us. Another good example that happened that people don't see in the background. About a month ago, there was a family in need in Murfreesboro, and it's a single mom with children that we help every once in a while. Some people in that situation. She needed some money to cover her house rent. We got involved. We talked to her. We realized she doesn't have a job. She doesn't have income. So she's going to run into that same situation over and over. And we were like, why do you not have a job? And she was like, well, I don't have a car, so I can't get anywhere. My house is remote and I can't get to a job. I said, well, how about we get you a car instead of.
You found the root problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, the cool part, this is not the cool part. We put a fundraiser to get her a car, and we collected the money in about 30 minutes. And about half of the money came from our kids.
Wow.
And that was like what really, like for me personally, like when I look at that stuff, like I understand half of them give $5, but a lot of $5 came in.
Mm-hmm.
And that adds up. So I like seeing them. I always tell the kids is you have to teach yourself to give physically and financially the best you can every day. And that's when success comes. And while you're doing this, results don't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the result is. As long as you go home and you're content that you've given your best today, that's all that matters.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, just because they are impressive, let's talk numbers though. How many meals did you serve last year? Not you, but your kids.
Since we got established in 6 years, probably we're approaching 60,000 meals in Murfreesboro. Last year, maybe 6 or 7. I can't remember. 1,000 meals. This year, we probably close to 500 right now in the last 2 months. Same with crosses. This year to date, we probably provided about $7,000 in crosses management in a month and a half.
How many cars have you guys raised the money for and given to folks in need of cars?
Oh, probably over 20.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't pre-qualify the giving based on faith, based on anything like that. This is a need. Yeah. This is a human. They have a need and we can help.
Yeah, the vast majority of our giving are not to people who follow our faith. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vast majority, actually, financially and in numbers as well. So that's the most common. I mean, we don't ask. It's just we never ask.
It's irrelevant.
It's
It's
just
someone
it's not
in
important.
need. Mm-hmm.
We do have criteria. So like when you apply, when you apply for classes, we have a limit per family. We have a limit per household.
Sure.
We have a limit. Anything over that limit has to be pre-approved. And the actual individual running our classes is 21 years old, actually. And he runs all of it right now. He has access to the money. He makes a decision. But if he makes a decision to go above the limit, he has to come up with the money.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to create a fundraiser to figure out how to come up with that money.
So you just touched on one of my most favorite things about your organization is Abdou does not come up with and organize and do the heavy lifting and the planning of basically any of y'all's events. Is that correct?
I'm involved, but a lot of the events and activities are planned by the youth. As young, for example, we just launched a blessing box in front of our center, and it's basically a box where people can leave what they don't need and people can get what they need from it.
Mm-hmm.
The person running it is 11 years old. His mom brings him there twice a week. That's
mind-blowing.
Yeah, his mom brings him over twice a week to check on it. He has a budget. He requested a budget of $1,500 a year. And he said if the box is empty, he goes to Walmart or Kroger or whatever, and he buys what he needs and he fills it up. He's been doing well now for 5 weeks.
And so what I remember you telling me before is that if a kid comes to you and says, hey, there's a need for blank, we should do blank, you say, that's a fantastic idea. Make them write a proposal.
Right.
They present it to the group that makes the decisions, and then they take point on it.
Correct. So like last 2 weeks ago, one of our girls, she's 16 years old. She comes to me. She said, my grandmother is suffering from dementia. And she's talking about how sad the situation is, how hard it is to watch her grandmother deteriorate. And I'm like, what do you want to do about that? She said, I wish we can educate people about neurodiversity. And I was like, okay, we can. Do you want to take lead on that? She said, yeah, I'd love to. Said, okay, let's think about it and come back and regroup next week. She came back. I want to have an event and invite people to talk about their experiences with autism, with dementia, with Down syndrome. How did they live with it? How does the community treat them? And also educate our community about the youth in particular, about what does that mean to have somebody in the household who suffers from that. And say, well, okay, next you're going to have to figure out the budget, the time, and all that stuff. And she has till the 16th of next month to come up with that.
So she's building community in quite frankly, an arena that nobody really addresses.
Right. So she's going to have to build a proposal, a budget, and call for a meeting and have some people who are interested come with her. And we'll we'll be there. We're helping her. We're building it with her, but it's not our idea. We have the money to support her when we get it. We have the contacts, we have the relationship, but it's her. It's her idea.
I love that.
And it's about her.
And so she is gaining the experience of conceptualizing, identifying a need, conceptualizing not a solution is limiting, right? It's more
action.
An action, exactly, because it may be the first of hundreds of them.
Correct.
We don't know.
It's the lesson to them all the time. If you see a need, the question you should ask yourself, what can I do about it?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a solution. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to end poverty in Murfreesboro tomorrow. You can't end poverty, but you can contribute to the decrease in poverty. Maybe one person.
But that's one less person.
That's one less person, and that is one more growth for you.
Yeah.
And it's always giving is more about you than other people. It's more about your own growth, your own facing your own greed, your own selfishness sometimes.
And what you learn from that one person might translate to the next one where it helps 5 people. And then it might translate to 20 people.
You're asking about stories. One of our girls, we deliver food boxes. Sometimes people request food boxes. A few months ago, we got a request on the website. A lady from Atlanta said, my mom lives in Murfreesboro. She's single. She's by herself. She's older. She can't drive. I normally come every week and I bring her food, and I couldn't come this time. Can you guys take her some meals, just hot meals? So one of our girls are like, yeah, I can take them. We put it on a group chat that we have internally. I'll take the meals. She went to the alley, actually. You mentioned the alley earlier, and they're awesome folks.
Shout out Sean and Christy.
Absolutely.
Love those guys.
She went there. She ordered the meals. Pre-ordered them. She goes, pick them up. She goes to the lady. She said the door was open. I walked in. She said, put them on the table or in the fridge. She said, I opened the fridge, and she calls me from the house. She said, there's nothing in the fridge. I said, what do you want to do about that? And she's like, I want to go buy her some stuff. I said, go buy her some stuff. How much do you want to spend? She said, $50. I said, okay, go spend $50, get her some stuff, fill that fridge. End of the story. But that empowerment of what do I need to do about this? Not just, oh, this person is miserable. This person is feeling bad. This person is in need of a food meal. There's something you can do about it. It could be a simple smile.
Yeah. But you're putting legs to
a
it.
hug, just something to do. Don't just keep walking. So it's easier.
That's good stuff, man. All right. So let's do this piece of the business. And then I've got some other stuff that I want to talk to you about. I haven't prepped you for this at all.
Okay.
I sort of did. I told you, and you thought I was joking, but I wasn't joking.
Okay. I can always plead the fifth.
So let's talk real quick. MMY. We'll share it in the comments. But if somebody wants to learn more about the organization, number one, and then if they want to contribute to the work that you guys do, give me those 2 bits of info.
If you want to learn more about us, go to our website. If you like what you see, if you like something you see, you can join our texting group. You can join our Instagram, Facebook, social media, whatever you like. If you don't like what we do, find something you like with somebody else. Just don't sit at home and do nothing.
That's right. Don't sit on your hands. I love that.
And the second thing, how do you help? If you're a business, we'd love to have you as a sponsor. We're looking for those constantly. We are 100% payroll-free organization. We have nobody on payroll.
But you have a space now.
We have a space, and we're also proud to be 100%. 100% of our board members are financial contributors, even the 16 years olds.
Wow.
So every one of our leaders has to contribute financially in addition to putting down. And we still need support. We do a lot of work. As I said, we spent about $700 probably in the last 45 days on crisis in Murfreesboro. So if you're a business in town, you want to sponsor us on the website, there's an easy way. You can also call me if you're willing to share the number. If you want to just contribute, go to the website as well, make a donation.
Well, and here's what I will tell you is these guys put legs to it and they make this community a better place. I know during COVID, you guys were setting up and even since then setting up, and you just would post free meal if you show up at whatever. There was no questions asked. You just came up and you could get a meal and leave. Still
going on till today, every other week.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Let's talk about a couple of big events that you guys sponsor.
Okay.
It's February, so I know that you guys are probably hashing out that calendar, but you guys have done the Murfreesboro Loves. You've done the big food festival that I didn't get to come to, the culture festival. No, the one at around the square.
Oh, that's coming up this year again.
Yeah, let's talk about that
this year. So on the calendar right now, we have an interesting event. We've never attempted this before. March the 5th, we're holding an interfaith bowling event for the youth.
Okay.
So the concept to bring is about 40 to 50 of our youth together in a bowling alley. We've already rented the place free of charge. And our kids have circles around. They have different clicks, and we want the clicks to interclick.
Yeah.
So we're telling each person, bring a friend or come by yourself, and we're going to sit, talk for about 5 minutes, introduce ourselves, who we are, and then go out and bowl, have fun, come back.
And you said interfaith.
Interfaith. It's open to everybody from any faith or no faith. And they can join. They can sign up for that on the website, and the seats are limited because of the expenses. But that's one of the examples that we do things that you may not see.
And that's March 5th at what time?
March 5th is going to be from 5 to 7.
At
the bowling alley in Smyrna.
Okay.
But you have to sign up. It's for the youth. You're not coming.
I might show up if I bring my son.
But the idea is to bring our youth closer through having fun. We can have a surprise events exercise for them about diversity during the events. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh man, I'm gonna just hang out in the background and just watch. But
the second thing we have coming up is our annual appreciation dinner. It's coming up April the 16th. The idea is for each one of our youth family to host a couple of nonprofits to dinner during our month of fasting, and to show them appreciation for what they do in the community. That's going to be April 16th. Then we have Love Your Neighbor on June the 26th at Barfield.
It'll be at Barfield this year.
That one is, but then the downtown's still happening in October. We just applied for the permit. We don't have it yet, so I can't give you a date.
I'm making it to this one. Don't do it the weekend before Halloween.
It's most likely going to be the last weekend, one of the 2 days on the last weekend.
Okay.
It's after Halloween.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. So, but that's also coming up. That's going to be in October. We still going to have the giving thanks by giving and Thanksgiving. We're still going to have the Christmas event for the shelters in town. We do feeding the hungry every other week from our center, so anybody can walk in and get meals with no questions asked. We're still doing the blessing box that's open 24 hours, no question asked. You open the door, you get what you want, and you walk away.
So one of my favorite things about you is that you're an open book when it comes to your faith, when it comes to addressing the issues that your faith faces in this country and around the world, and that we have had meaningful conversations on so many occasions, and you've opened my eyes to things. If you've never heard me tell this story before, one of my favorite things that I've ever done in my entire life, Abdou invited me to an iftar. And do you remember? You know what I'm about to say?
I don't.
You don't remember?
No.
I showed up and I had no clue what to expect.
Oh, I don't remember now.
I had no idea what to expect. And so prior to and I brought my son.
Yeah.
And prior to coming, I actually Google searched, and I had to show it to you on my phone that I Google searched.
It was funny.
White guy going to iftar for first time. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what protocol, what manners were. Like I didn't know anything. Yeah. And we fasted that day so that we were in a similar state of mind, I guess you could say, to our hosts. And it was awesome. It was a highlight of my year last year to do that. But I love that because you're willing to tolerate the white guy going to the iftar for the first time.
I mean,
you know,
it's not toleration. It's respecting your right to be different.
Yeah.
It's not tolerance.
I love that.
We're all different.
So my question, and we're going to shift the gears just a little bit because we've never done this with you before. How do you raise your children to live in a world that doesn't always tolerate them, right? That doesn't always acknowledge and accept and even celebrate, definitely not celebrate their differences. How do you raise your kids like that?
It's hard. I think it's hard for any parent to raise their kids in general, regardless of all the issues. There's an added element. There's an added element of kids coming home and telling you, hey, we're treated differently, or I feel like I'm treated differently. Being honest here and open. Christmas time is hard for us.
Sure.
Like really hard, because they can see all the celebrations at school. The school turns to almost a church in a way. And they come home constantly and ask questions, and like they feel the difference. Like even the teachers, and I think it's a lot of it, and I respect that significantly. They try to navigate around these issues, but it's hard because they don't have the knowledge. And I think the same thing applies at jobs, and it takes you to know the person, and it takes you to be not just sensitive, it's just really respect the fact that they're different. Mm-hmm. They're not like you in some ways, but they're like you in so many other ways.
And we're really more alike than we ever could be different.
We try to be honest with our kids to the best we can. We try to show them how to respect others, and we teach them to stand up to their rights. Mm-hmm. One of the stories with my oldest, actually, he was in a certain school in town, and he was being bullied constantly. He called a terrorist several times. And we talked to the teachers, we talked to the principals, and you have and I'm not saying it's lack of effort, but the constant brush off their kids. They're playing around, they're so and so.
Did you get the kids will be kids?
Kind of in a way, but we finally got to a point. They called me and said, well, you met my son. Mm-hmm. You know how big he is. Mm-hmm. He's a big guy.
He's not small. No. Yeah.
So he was leaving school. They were in dismissal, and the other child comes to him and start saying the same. So my son punched him. Mm-hmm. He didn't really punch him. He held him against the wall and like fixated him on the walls. The guy was crying, like, let go of me. And principal calls me over. I go to school next day, and we're sitting there like, you did this, your son did this and this. Well, we've told you about this 4 or 5 times. So we're going to suspend him for 3 days. And I look at my son and say, which ice cream shop do you want to go to?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So anyway,
what did he pick? I would go to
we went to the one that used to be downtown. What was it called? The one that has the arcades.
Oh, Frozen Treats from Mars.
Frozen Trees from Mars. It's
I
not there
love that
anymore.
place.
That's
Yeah.
where we went. I remember that. But I'm not saying this is the right approach. It's just sometimes as a parent, and we have struggles with our kids, like everybody else. We have issues we have to deal with. And sometimes you make the decision based on emotion and support your job because that becomes your priority. Sometimes, and it's hard to see this for younger parents. What's right today may not be right 10 years from now. But if I look back at it and I go to the same situation, it'll still be right.
Yeah.
Uh,
In that moment.
in that moment. And that's important for us to recognize that we've done that best we can on that day. We've tried our hardest that day, and the results don't matter after that. And if you go back, don't regret that moment because you made the best decision with what you had at the time.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Do you guys face active and I guess blatant maybe is the word? Do you guys face blatant racism and bigotry?
Not recently, to be honest with you. Last few years, we have not. Things have been different.
What do you think is the difference?
I don't know. I really don't know. It just needs
I want to
more,
believe that it's getting better, right? Like I want to believe that.
I think the biggest difference, maybe this is my personal analysis, is people who are really hateful to minorities are staying away from them.
Okay.
And people who are more in the middle are leaning more toward like acceptance, respect, and working together with others. There's more of that group of people. You know, the social classification 1 to 5. So people who really, really love you, and people who really, really like you, but they don't love you. People who don't care. People who kind of hate you. People who really, really hate you.
I've never heard that before, but I'll go with that.
So that's a classification of like the
Yeah.
society around you as a minority that we look at.
It's like the circles
The
as you go
circles of
out.
5
huh?
as you go out. So I think we have more and more people in 1, 2, and 3, and less in the 5s.
Mhm.
In-
So
in
maybe the
general.
4 and 5s are moving to at least indifference.
I think so. I think some of the 4s are moving more to the indifferent and more like this is what it is. And I think as we see more and more of the younger generation growing up, is going to be more realistic to a lot of it. But it's going to still not be easy for a lot of minorities, not necessarily just Muslims, but it's a lot of minorities still struggle with issues, serious issues. And it's not it's not necessarily the society. There's a certain element of this is how things are, whether there's a school system, the curriculum selection, the DMV when you go to do your license plates and things of that nature. Like you go to a non-political event, like a government event, and they're praying. Like, okay, there are people here who don't follow your faith. Why are you praying? Asking me to Amin here, to say Amin at the
And
end.
they may have a different faith, or to your point before,
No
they may
faith.
have no faith at all.
Correct. And I think that it's not. I think some people may misinterpret that as disrespect, or we don't care, we disrespect minorities, people who are different. That's not necessarily the case. It's just we've always done that. We've never thought about it. It's just subconscious. Like, you know, you open the door and you just say a quick prayer sometimes. It's just what you've always done.
Sure.
And I think I myself have started seeing some of that as not really necessarily hate. It's more of an opportunity to communicate and tell them, hey, may not be the best way to do this. And
Do you think that your approach helps, or do you think that, I mean, you know, there's some that would say that, you know, sometimes you got to be the loudest guy on the block in order to get heard. And then there's others that might say, well, no, it's catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, right? Like you heard that before. What is your kind of philosophy on that? And then again, what do you teach your kids when it comes to that?
As I grow older, change takes time. That's a fact. And I think 10 years ago, I would expect change to be a really, really fast and rapid. Like things, hey, I want it to happen tomorrow.
You just need to get it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you're not getting it. Like, what's wrong with you? And now I see, okay, last 5 generations, this is what you told. It's hard for you to understand why, unless you start communicating. To shift the subject, tell you a funny story. One of my friends actually was telling me a story about her mother, who was making turkey on Thanksgiving. I may have told you the story. I don't know if I have. But she's making turkey and she cuts the front and the back like 4 inches and they throw it away. And the daughter was like, why are you cutting it? She said, well, this is how grandma always did it all our lives. So I don't know. It's just the best way to do it. She said, it makes no sense. You're wasting 10% of the turkey. Why are you doing this? Just ask grandma. They call grandma. Why are you doing this? Oh, our oven was small and it just wouldn't fit. So we had to cut that part of the turkey. And look, you see, our oven is big now.
So we have bigger ovens now, y'all.
Communications
Keep
didn't
the turkey.
happen. So we just kept doing what our parents told us to do without thinking, without asking questions.
Yeah.
And if we would have asked a question, we would have better understanding. And what they did is not wrong for what they had, but we could do it differently, and that's still not wrong.
Yeah.
That's my point. With our kids, each one of them is different. I have 5 children, so each one of them is different.
That's a lot of kids, man.
It's a lot of kids. Yeah.
I've got 2 and hopefully this year 2 stepkids, so 4, and I'm a little freaking out by that.
No, don't freak out. Yeah, it's just, you have a whole brewery.
Yeah.
You can make it work.
Yeah, well, that's true. I have coping mechanisms in place.
But yeah, what do we tell our kids? It depends. Really, be honest with you. Each one of them is different. We don't teach them there's hate around them as a norm. We teach them that hate is not normal, but it exists.
Oh, that's
it's
good.
there. It's around you. You just have to learn how to deal with it. Not everybody that is mean, that is different, is necessarily a bad person.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily hateful. They might just be ignorant of the
Correct.
situation.
We had this once, my 10 years old now, we were at Kroger on Church Street, and there was a guy on a wheelchair who did not have either legs. He's missing both legs. And my son like, what's wrong? How did that happen? I said, how would I know? Go ask him. I wouldn't know. I can tell you theories, born, what. Can I go ask him? He said, yes, go ask him. Just walk over to him and ask him. And we walked away. He was so happy. He answered him. He told him, yeah, I lost it in the war. I was in the war. This happened, and this is what happened. And therefore, I don't have my legs. But, I have my prosthesis at home, and I can put them on and walk. But this is easier because I'm older. And we walked away.
And your son's worldview got a little bit bigger.
I can ask the person who's different why they're different and get the answer from them.
And they're not just a weird guy in a wheelchair.
No, it's like instead of using Mr. Google.
Right.
Or asking my dad, who doesn't know that person as much as you do.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff I think we're missing sometimes. You see somebody who's different, don't Google what guy going to iftar. Ask him, how do I come to iftar?
I was too embarrassed, man. I was so embarrassed.
What's different about it?
Well, now I would absolutely ask, but yeah, I was too embarrassed. But I did learn, like, start with a date.
Yeah.
Not like a person date, but a date. Yeah. And like I learned all kinds of stuff. And then when I showed up, I knew a little bit. So, but it was still awesome. One of my favorite things that you said to me the very first time we ever got together and met, we were at Just Love over on
Fountain.
Yeah, at the Fountains.
Yeah.
And you changed something for me, and I have used this for ever since then. And the old I guess analogy that America is a melting pot, right? That's what we've always said. There's even a Schoolhouse Rock's, the Great American Melting Pot.
Yeah.
And you said that's not really entirely accurate. And you said that there's a better analogy that is a better description of how America should be. And you shared that with me. And I've never called us a melting pot ever again. I have called us a giant salad bowl.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to share kind of your thoughts on how that analogy of a salad bowl rather than a melting pot works.
It's even within your own family. Do you want all your kids to be the same? You want all of them to look like you or their mom and act like you and the mom and, wear the same kind of clothes and have the same career path and marry the kind of same looking wife or husband? I don't want to. We want things different. And I think different doesn't necessarily mean worse.
Right.
And I think in America, a lot of people like us and other people come here and they try their best to assimilate, but they want to keep some of their values and culture. And there's a huge resistance. And gradually, one of two things happen. Either they isolate themselves within the society, so it creates a sub-community that doesn't really interact well. That's where you see second and third generations who don't speak English sometimes, which is really weird.
Sure.
Or they just completely lose that identity and join the melting pot. And I think we don't want either. We want somebody to come here and bring the best out of their culture to the best out of our culture and create a unique individual who can contribute to the society, enrich the community, and be who they are without being ashamed of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when nobody goes to Jason's Deli and get just lettuce. Do you? Who does that? Nobody does that. and you get some of everything. What you don't like, you just skip and move on. You don't have to get everything on there, but you get several things.
Sure.
And I think
lettuce is delicious. Onions are
absolutely
delicious.
You think so? I don't.
Right. Bacon is delicious. I know.
You see what I mean?
Eggs are delicious, right? Carrots
But
are delicious.
We have choices, but that doesn't mean. I mean, if you stand in line in a buffet, each person is getting different food from the same buffet.
Yeah.
But that's us. That's our society. And I think when individuals try to say that we need to be Muslims only, Christians only, you know, straights only, gays only, whatever, it just makes you more poor.
Yeah.
As a
Because all
community.
those pieces are much better as a salad.
Correct.
Yeah. I love that. So there's your analogy for the day. Work that into your everyday life because it's a good one. And I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
So
it's not easy though. I mean, it's not easy, especially if you've been raised like me in the Belt Buckle of Syria. I was raised in a very conservative small city in Syria, and that was not acceptable. It's not normal for you to accept others who are different. We're all the same. Like we're all farmers. We all got, you know, the certain looks, certain faith belief, and it's hard to grow out of that. I respect that, and but we need to.
So last question I want to address, I guess, or kind of talk. How do you, as a Muslim here in America, where there's all kinds of beliefs about about what a Muslim is, right? And most of them are completely ignorant. How do you get to common ground with someone that doesn't like you before they ever meet you?
You're always trying to. You don't succeed very often, and it takes more than one time. But I think we tend, like when we're introducing our faith in general, not just us as Muslims, we tend to introduce the belief structure. And I think that's counterproductive very often because it brings the opposite of who I am. But the alternates show the common values, like, hey, you believe in this, I believe in this, you do this, I do this. And I think when you bring the common elements in the faith, it brings different understanding. Then even more important, who doesn't care about better schools in the community? Who doesn't care about better roads? Who doesn't care about better government system? Who doesn't care about more transparency in our finances in the government? We have shared values and we have shared interests in the community.
Well, who doesn't care about, you know, the homeless person or the?
I think most people do.
Whether they're going to put legs to it or not is one thing, right? But I think most people, if you said, is it a good or a bad thing that we have homeless people? I can't imagine anybody saying, "Oh, it's fantastic." You know, I love that we have homeless people. Correct.
I think it's the reality is, I mean, and I respect the fact not everybody is willing to put time in the community service because you don't have time, you're not priority in your life, you got stress enough in your plate. So it's not, but somebody is doing it, and the least you can do is not to be critical of them. Yes. That's the least. We're going back to that 1 to 5. You know, don't be a 5.
At least be a 3.
Don't at least be a 3. 2 is excellent. 1 is perfect, but not everybody's going to be there. The same. I mean, it applies everywhere you go. But I think when we share more of our common values, common interests, let's say, for example, we have a meeting for the school board to approve the new playground for the schools, and the parents go and we all cheering for a better system, better curriculum. We're all in agreement on this. I mean, then you move on. Do you want the kids to be in a better moral community? Absolutely, I do. Do you want the kids to have more safety, less chance of being in danger, less drugs in the street? Yeah, I do. Then you start talking about faith, that becomes less relevant. Like it's not that anymore. I said, oh, I'm a Muslim. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the roads in the city. But I'm a Muslim, or I'm a Christian, or I'm Jewish.
What does that have to do with roads?
Exactly. Yeah. And that creates that we're no longer on one table. We kind of split the table before we even sit on it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Look at the common stuff first.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, we are out of time, Abdou. It always goes so fast. I just looked over there a minute ago and I was like, whoa, that went quick. Man, it's always a pleasure to talk with you.
No, absolutely. Thanks. Just spread the positive trend. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, man.
You guys are amazing. Jonathan.
We need an MMY pod, man.
Yeah, we do.
It.
Yeah.
Would your kids be up for a podcast?
Probably. Probably.
We need
Yeah,
to do that.
we were talking about that. Yeah, we'll bring some of them. You can talk to them.
Come on down, man.
Yeah.
Love to.
I think
love to
that would
have
be
them.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll bring a couple of them, and
It'd be kind of fun to do a common ground podcast. I'm throwing it out
Yeah.
here on
Spitballing
live
here.
on air, right? So a common ground podcast, some MMY kids,
That's the most spread the
some-
positive thing.
some
Yeah.
Christian kids, some non-faith kids.
maybe once we have the interfaith bowling event,
Yeah.
we can get some of those
We can
kids who
identify.
are interested.
And
Dude.
just sit down and let's talk about this topic.
Yeah.
Okay, we've already
From kids
established
to
where we're
adults,
coming
right?
from, right? We've already
Start with
established where we're
kids and
coming from.
then do the parents too, right?
This
I'm with
this
it,
has
man.
to happen, y'all.
Yeah, I'm all the way in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
I
thank you,
appreciate it.
Abdou.
A really nice space. You guys need to come see this space if you can.
Thank
It's
you.
open to people to come see it.
Yes,
It is. It's for sure.
Come on down tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight. That's right. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to Bryan Nale with First Horizon Bank. What? Yep,
Yeah.
made the move. Well, not really the move. I guess the merge,
It's complete.
whatever. Yeah, whatever you call that. And thanks again to Bryan for making this possible and for helping support the mission of Spread the Positive, which is bringing light to what's going right.
Nailed it.
I know. I got it this time. You proud?
Yep.
And my friend Abdou, if you guys just want to meet somebody that puts feet to his faith and that does the most good in this community, you got to
Well, I
talk to this
appreciate
guy.
it. You're too kind.
Well, you deserve it, bud.
Appreciate it.
And then check out those events. We'll put some of that in the comments. Trent's working on that right now, I think, or he will here in just a minute. We'll get those put up and you guys can check those out. That's all I got.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Go visit the website if you like what you see. Join. If you don't like what we see, find what we do. Find somebody you like in this community and get involved.
That's right. That's it.
All
Love
right.
it. Y'all have a good rest of the week.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.